Welcome to Rise and Reinvent. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Jeannette Brown, an enterprise agile and product coach with over 20 years of experience. What makes Jeanette's story especially powerful is how her personal journey shaped her professional path. From growing up in a challenging environment that sparked her drive for perfectionism, to learning the importance of support, resilience, and self promotion in the workplace, Jeannette has reinvented herself at key points in her life and career. In this conversation, she shares pivotal lessons on overcoming setbacks, finding the right work culture, balancing leadership with vulnerability, and trusting your gut through every reinvention. Jeanette's story is a testament to the power of resilience, growth, and redefining success on your own terms. Let's dive in. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Jeannette Brown to the Rise and Reinvent podcast. Jeannette is an enterprise agile and product coach. Jeannette has more than 20 years of experience with Java development, business systems, analysis, project management, product management, agile, and product coaching. She's worked across several different industries with a diverse background in fintech, healthcare, renewable energy, and other exciting industries. She also captains pseudo sports teams and is raising two boys. Welcome to the Rise and Reinvent podcast, Jeannette.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I always like to kick things off by asking you to tell us a bit more about you as a person, right? Not just your career, but how did you grow up, and how has that shaped you into the person that you are today?
Sure. Well, I had quite a interesting background. I grew up on Long Island in a relatively dysfunctional family. My dad left the house early, and my mom is a narcissist. So I grew up under a kind of strict and highly critical eye. And so I felt almost like I had to please everyone. I'm a big people pleaser, and I always wanted to do things right and be perfect. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist as well. And this was to prove myself and to make sure that I was accepted to a person who actually probably never had the capability or ability to accept others as they are. So this kind of instilled a drive in me and a need to constantly produce and to constantly show my effort and my worth and to feel value through my work and other things that I do. So it's made me a relatively driven and slightly competitive person as well.
Okay. And so how has that shown up in your career? And it sounds like also you're raising a family as well. So how has that shown up in your life in general now as an adult?
Yeah. So I like I said, I'm kind of one of those people who gets a whole lot of work done and has a lot of drive, but also I lack the confidence it takes to really be sure-footed and to make sure I'm making all the right decisions at the right times. So I lean on others to help me to make sure that I can, deliver what's expected, but also lead in a fashion that's reasonable and ethical and responsible. And I want to be a real responsible leader and make sure that when I'm stepping forward, it's very sure-footed and very um, data-driven and dependent upon actual data and real results.
Okay. So we're going to come back to that in a moment because that's your support system, right? So I'm going to come back to that. I want to first talk about, throughout your journey and your career specifically, can you think of a point where you had a pivotal moment that really sparked reinvention?
Yeah. A pivotal moment that sparked reinvention. So there have been a couple pivotal moments in my career and in my life. But one of them was, relatively early on where, I told you I'm kind of a results driver and, I get a lot of work done, but I wasn't necessarily being seen by leadership in that way. And one of my managers then, or coaches at the time, had said, Jeanette, you do all this work. All you have to do is show what you do and market your work, and that will get you the results that you want. And so that's what I did. I essentially made a project plan for my for my efforts in my career, and that got me the promotion that I was looking for.
Okay.
So you really do need to think about how you are selling your work, even if you know you're doing good work, and even if it's value driven, and even if you know you're doing an excellent job. It's all about how you market yourself to others. Really, is one of the key lessons that I took away from that.
Okay. What role has failure played in your life? And how has it been a teacher for you?
Wow. So I think the age old adage of we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes is very true. It's very dead on. I've definitely not hit the mark on a few occasions, and I think that um, with the right leadership, it can be a very powerful learning experience. And I think I had, luckily, great leadership at the time that didn't necessarily take my mistakes or misses as being, unearthing or, something major and something really to chastise me for. I think they helped me learn from my mistakes, and I was able to then take their feedback and apply it and give them the results that they were looking for. I think it's really important to listen to feedback of, especially, and you know, constructive criticism and feedback, and take that as a learning lesson as opposed to something that makes you feel bad or lesser than. Because the point is that we all can do better. No one's perfect, and making some little tweaks and sometimes a little a change, small change it may be, can make a really big impact if you really listen to the criticism that you're given.
So that kind of leads me back to the support. When you talk about you lean on others, tell me what role support has played and just having others that you can lean on in your journey. How
Oh goodness, yes. I think in my personal work, in my personal opinion, I think support is everything. I think that one can only lead and strive and grow in their position if they are well supported by those around them. I think to be a good leader, you have to be supported by the people around you. I don't think you can be a good leader without any support. And in my industry, as being an IT consultant, we get a whole breadth of opportunities, a whole lot of work that comes our way, and you can't do everything and be good at everything without a support or a couple of people to kind of back you up and help you out with your endeavors. There's been many times where maybe a process that I wasn't used to, or it may be a new coding language, or it may be just even a new industry that you're just not accustomed to or used to yet. You've got to rely on everyone else to help bring you up and that support. And at the same time, being a good leader includes being a servant leader and making sure that you're providing what you need to those that are working with you and even under you. So making sure that you are not only receiving support, but also giving it, because I think that's the most powerful power that leaders have, is being supportive of those, that they're helping and they're coaching.
Yes, I completely agree. That's been my experience as well. But I also have had some bosses that don't give that level of support and they don't set you up for success.
Correct.
Um, And so it becomes challenging. And so you make a mistake and they're like, that's on you. Like, I can't
Right.
believe you did this. But there are some, a good leader will take responsibility. Like, you report to me. Therefore, when someone asks, it's us. We did, and I did, not Nicole did it or Jeanette did it. So thank you for
Right.
sharing that.
Yeah. And we learn from all the people around us, right? So you learn from both good and bad leaders. Again, we have all had that bad leader that,
Mhm.
as you said, does not set us up for success, right? Or maybe they are, kind of a little politically, minded, and therefore, don't really worry about how it's affecting your career, just their career.
Yeah.
And that can be tough. But again, you learn more from those tough experiences to know, hey, when I become that leader, I'm not going to do it that way. Or,
Hmm.
or you learn from the positive leaders that you've experienced, that ones that have supported you, and okay, that is how I can truly support others that I'm working with. So I think, yeah, being rallying around good leaders is extremely important in one's career. That actually brings me to another point, though, about having pivotal moments in our careers. Is I was working for the same consulting group for a very long time, and I started to see um, signs of not so great leadership. And over the years, it became more and more apparent. And I had a very pivotal moment in my life where I decided I don't want to work for those types of leaders anymore. I want to find leaders that I can work for that will appreciate and value me and what I have to offer. So I did. I up and left that company, started a new company, and I cannot say how much happier I've been ever since that move.
That is a really great insight, right? Because many of us, um, we're counting on that paycheck to come in every couple of weeks or whenever it comes in.
Sure.
We're spending a lot of our time in the office, and many times we may be miserable. And maybe it's not the company that makes us miserable, it's one particular leader or it's one
Yeah.
project that is not going as planned or going the way you'd like it to go.
Yeah.
And we stay. A lot of times we stay and we
Yeah.
sit through it and we take the burden and the stress.
And I did. I did that for 20 years. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I know. I was there.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
it took a lot
left.
of strength and a lot of courage to get up and recognize that. And I made a really important pact with myself. I told myself I don't need to deal with this. This is not necessarily healthy nor helping me be a good employee. So I made sure when I found my new company that the number one thing I looked for was the environment. What kind of environment am I going into? Do they recognize growth mindsets? Are they growth minded themselves? Do they want powerful, helpful and valuable perspectives and diverse perspectives, or do they want us to just follow command and control? And to me, those are major factors in someone's happiness and health within an industry, right? And
Right.
so for me, before money and before job role and title or any of that, I put the kind of the culture and the environment at the office, because that really matters to me most.
Very, very important for sure. Um, so when life is unpredictable,
Hmm.
how do you stay centered and clear-headed?
Ooh, that's a great one. I think I have more control over this now that I'm a mother. I know that's kind of cliche to say, but mothering is quite humbling. And once you realize that not only is it your emotions and what you're dealing with, it's the emotions and of your children as well, and
Yes,
maybe even your partner if that's a consideration.
yes. And if you're leading a team, your team as well.
Right. And you don't
Yeah.
want that to come and impact work, right? Or vice versa. You don't want work to impact your home life. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say I have it perfect. But what I do is that I make sure that one, I'm real with my emotions. I allow myself to feel. I allow myself to have emotions, but it's how you react right? And I know that's like kind of silly, old sayings, but really it's, I'm pretty good at masking when I need to, unfortunately. But that comes with the job, and that comes kind of, with experience, is that, you learn to kind of mask those emotions and feelings, and you're still allowed to have them. But I've definitely been a time or two where I excuse myself from the room and go and had a good cry in the bathroom, or I've, told my children, hey, let's take a moment. We all need a timeout. I'll go sit in my room. You guys sit in your rooms, and we'll take a timeout and come back to this when we're level headed. Because there's no good ever comes out of being in the red zone, or, upset, or any of that. So it's about controlling the behaviors.
Absolutely. And I remember learning midway through my career about compartmentalization,
Right.
right? Something goes wrong at home, you put it in a box, you continue on, you try to at least, and you have your work day, and then you address it later, right? Versus bringing that into the workplace and then trying to deal with it and manage it in your head throughout. Same thing
Yeah.
at work. I remember being in a meeting where I presented something and the feedback I got was not good. And I wanted to just cry in that moment and
Yeah.
boo-hoo. But I
Yeah.
was okay, well, thank you for the feedback. And then I went to the bathroom, like you said, and I just cried.
That's right. You had to hold it in though for the end of the meeting, right? Like that.
Right.
Yeah. I've been there.
Definitely. So when things are unpredictable or go unexpected, how do you stay centered and clear-headed? The answer to that question is really pause,
Yeah.
compartmentalize it, and then come back to it, or take a break from whatever the challenge is. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, like I think sometimes not compartmentalizing, but even being honest about it is okay. So
That's
I
true.
come into work in the morning with a chip on my shoulder, and my coworkers are like, hey, what's up, Jeanette? What's going on? And I'm just honest with them. Well, my child got sick last night. I was up all night, taking care of them, and I barely got any sleep. And now I, don't feel so good because I didn't get sleep. And so I think depending on what it is, of course, being,
True.
being honest with other people about why you are impacted as a human being. Again, it's okay to have emotions, and it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to be impacted. But if it's kind of a safe thing to talk about, maybe you have other parents on the team, or
Great.
I think sometimes it's okay just to be honest about it too.
Yep. Okay. What is one unexpected lesson that your career journey has taught you?
Mm. I mean, I think I think just reiterating, hey, having to market yourself, kind of you are your own marketing machine in a way, even within your company, having to, like I said, what you talked about, what you brought up is like rolling with the punches, right? Having to kind of manage your emotions and getting them out in a healthy way, right? And then, also finding a good environment, one that incentivizes, I should say, excuse me, incentivizes and values the right things, and are not just saying that they do, right? Because that was another kind of thing going on with my first company, was that they were saying, oh, we value home life, and we value, our time and in and out of the office, and we value servant leadership, and we value all this. But many of their leaders did not have those values and did not represent those values, and the company changed over time, but their values stayed the same, and that's kind of dangerous right there, because now there's this lack of transparency, and lack of communication from the top. So I think that that's another valuable lesson,
Mm.
is to listen and understand what leadership is telling you, and understand what they're advising, but at the same time, with your own experiences and with your own understanding and with your own, tenure there, understand what's really going on behind the curtain, and if that matches up or not.
Mhm. Okay. Um, so what daily or weekly habits help you to stay adaptable in a constantly changing work environment. So you're in the tech space, right?
I
Which is
am, yeah.
always evolving and changing. And so, are there any habits you'd like to discuss that really help you stay grounded and steady and also curious about what's next?
Totally fair. I mean, it's kind of twofold here. One, there's the more academic side of it, where you want to be keeping up with the trends and knowing what's going on within the industry and having that understanding. And excuse me, whether you subscribe to any kind of feeds or anything, or whether you know, read the latest news or journaling, or I actually love to read kind of old school newspaper type articles, but it's any kind of way that you can keep up within the industry, academically, whatever your choices. I also love listening to audiobooks, or even you know, podcasts and other things that might also be on the cutting edge of what it is you're working in. I think those are great ways to stay, academically on top of your work. However, I say that, and then I also say outside of work, I think is very important to keep you grounded and to keep you stable. Which is why I do captain pseudo sports teams, and I do like to play, playground sports in adulthood. um, and have a good time doing it. I look forward to it every week. It's after work, it's not during working hours. And, the camaraderie you get from a team, and just having that team, there to do something super fun, I think is a great way to practice, fitting within a team and making sure that, the camaraderie is there. I think you can bring that back to work at the same time. One thing I love to do with my teams at work is, being an agile coach and a product coach, is I try to tell teams, make sure you bake in that fun time, right? And have fun events with your teams. Even if your teams are distributed, it's really important to celebrate the small wins kind of repeatedly, and regularly, because once you get into the habit of not celebrating anything, then it's just kind of this dreary go to work every day's the same sort of thing. But if you can find ways to celebrate the small wins, and it does not have to be a happy hour, it does not have to be a lunch, it could be, just team time to decompress. Or, I've done fun events where, we play kind of like a show and tell, where everyone turns on their camera at home and shows something in their house, or their, living area that they want to share. We've played online games before as a team. These can be free. And so again, having distributed teams and having, not no budget for it is fine. You just need to find ways to celebrate with a team and gel as a team and kind of come together, because that's socially, because that's very important in a healthy team, is a healthy, happy team life, right? So don't put
Absolutely.
down on those fun events.
Yes. Well-being and joy are things that I was going to ask you about, but you've already covered that. So wonderful. Um, what has been your biggest compromise in life and career?
Ooh, um, my biggest compromise, I think, has been, putting away your ego. It sounds easier than it is, but it's
Okay.
it's hard because we're all very intelligent, hardworking people, right? I work within a very intelligent community of consultants, and um, sometimes you don't always think of the most efficient or best way to do something. Lots of times somebody else will come up with that idea, and it's okay to go with somebody else's idea, right? It's all about that support. And it's okay to say, Nicole came up with this great idea. Let's follow her lead because she's the one that had it. Forget what we were planning before with Jeannette. Let's go with what Nicole's planning now, and just putting away that ego and letting um, that slide without any doubt in your mind or any kind of hesitation.
Hmm. Okay. Um, So imagine you mentioned that you had several times moments of reinvention in
Yeah.
life, career. Imagine that you're at the start of one of those moments, right? What advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh, trust your gut. Just always trust your gut. You have a good idea of what's going on around you, and trust those feelings, and don't dismiss them. Don't acquiesce. Don't, kind of get comfortable. Always challenge yourself, and always trust your gut to stand up for the right thing.
Okay. Um, what does success look like for you now, personally and professionally?
Whew, that is a loaded question. Because I think the term success and what it looks like, it shifts throughout my lifetime, right? It meant one thing to me when I was younger. It probably meant making a certain dollar amount then, but that's not what it is now. For me, it is having that balance of home life. Again, I have two very energetic boys. They play soccer and it's great. But having that balance, and having, not have to worry about every bill. So there is a financial aspect to it, but at the same time, making sure you're doing something that you love to do,
Mhm.
and having something that you don't feel is hard, difficult work that you don't look forward to coming into doing. I think that a lot of times we can move up in our careers and our leveling, and sometimes we get leveled out, and unfortunately, we don't necessarily recognize that, right, when we are, up to a new challenging role, and it's probably past where we should be comfortably. So it's not all about climbing the ladder, right? It's about making sure you're in the right rung, and making sure that you have a happy life in and outside of work.
Absolutely. And so that was my final question. I thank you so much for your time today, and I thank you for sharing your journey and some of the pivotal points, where you had to change your mindset and the support that you had during those times. It's really important, to have that level of support. It's really important to, like you said, maybe times let the ego go
Yeah.
uh, for a greater good for everyone involved. And so great, great conversation that I really enjoyed, and I look forward to your continued success in your career and in life.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that.